What is going on, everybody? My name is Jimmy Scalia, and we have a great episode in store for you guys today through HSP Podcast Network. Guys, we have so much new content coming out today. Obviously, we got the Mets podcast in full swing. We have an awesome Giants episode in store for you guys. And our featured guest today is at Ethan GSN on Twitter. Guys, he's a host of NYG Daily, hosts awesome content, whether it be Giants related, his interesting food takes. And we're happy to have him here. Ethan, how's it going?
Going well. Thanks for having me. Excited to get it going.
Definitely. We're going to be touching on a lot of stuff in this episode. Also, want to welcome in my co-host Bill Hooper as well. Bill, how are you doing today?
Doing well.
Yeah. So, there's just so much to touch upon about the Giants, what they've been kind of this past decade, what's happening right now in this new turn, this new regime that's happening within Dave Gettleman. And honestly, I just want to start right off with the draft. And I want because both of you guys are Giants fans, Bill and Ethan. I want to start right off the bat. As soon as you saw the Philadelphia Eagles trade up, what was the first thing that went through your mind, Ethan?
Can I curse?
Yeah, go for
it. Fuck. I had people telling me all week, and I'm not a source guy by any means, and I never really tweet about this stuff, especially if there's an edge to be had in the gambling market. I made a lot of money off DeVonta Smith under 11.5. I had a number of people tell me he wasn't getting past the Giants at 11, and not just like beat writers, but people who were friends of the Maras, and it's like, the same guy who's tipping me off to Golden Tate getting suspended 3 weeks before it's happening type of deal. And I'm like, for a week, I'm jazzing myself up. DeVonta Smith, no matter what, like knew he was going to be there. And then the Eagles jump him, and it's like, fuck, because the Giants don't trade back. Dave Gettleman doesn't trade back. And now that their guy's off the board, are they going to reach for a pass rusher? And shockingly enough, they did the right thing. They traded back. So it went from total misery to complete elation in a matter of seconds.
So I personally was not angry at the Eagles doing this because I actually did not want DeVonta Smith as a Giants fan. And I know like that's an unpopular opinion. Most Giants fans wanted him, but personally, I just don't think we needed a wide receiver, or we didn't need to go that high wide receiver. I think we should have got maybe someone on the defense, trade back to get like an offensive lineman, which is why I didn't love the Kadarius Toney pick either. Like, really, at that spot, it's decent, but I would have preferred some like defender or an offensive lineman. And I know that's an unpopular opinion among Giants fans, but I really think like, wide receiver, it's not as important for the Giants right now, especially with the signing of Kenny Golladay and like Shepard, a veteran there, and like, getting Kyle Rudolph, all these receiving options, right? So I just think like, there's other pieces that needed to be addressed. And although some of them were addressed later in the draft, like something like offensive line wasn't addressed in the whole draft. So that's something that was an issue for me personally as a Giants fan.
So I'll agree and I'll disagree with you. I'll agree. Well, I guess I'll double disagree with you. So you said that your opinion of being an unpopular opinion, wanting offensive line or defensive back was unpopular. I'll disagree with you there. I think you would have been surprised. I think a lot of Giants fans would have been on board if Surtain had fallen or my guy J.C. Horn had fallen. I would have been ecstatic with either one of those picks. And I think that you should be ecstatic with the Toney pick for sort of the same reason. It's a passing league, and you got to establish the pass and you got to stop the pass. And for the Giants, they're doing it through scheme and through really beefing up their secondary. Bradbury had an insane first year. I don't think anyone saw that coming. They went out, they get Adoree Jackson. You have McKinney coming back. He didn't play his rookie season. He's coming back from injury. And then you add someone like J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain, like that is a stud secondary. I think people need to just put this team in perspective a little bit. They were never going to win this year. I mean, like their Vegas win total is still 7.5. I don't expect them to win the division. I think they might be a little bit better than people expect, although, defensive performance varies greatly year to year. But this was never just like a one off-season fix. And if you can go out and make something that you consider a strength stronger, I'll be in favor of that. And you can always, add a veteran on the offensive line later in the offseason as a camp casualty or a cap casualty. And then I'm with you for next year, right? Like if you go into this season and, third round pick Matt Peart is not the right tackle of the future, like they need to do what they did this offseason for Danny's weapons. They need to do that for the offensive line next offseason. So I think we're sort of in the same mindset here. I just think we need to space it out a little bit more because it's all really difficult to accomplish in one offseason, given how fucked up this roster is.
Yeah, and obviously I think the most interesting part of the whole trade down situation, and trust me, I have given Dave Gettleman all the shit he can handle, and I think he's done an awful job in a lot of things. But I got to give him credit for what he did. Obviously within this trade, now Daniel Jones has all the weapons he possibly could have right now. Obviously the offensive line still has issues, but with the trade with Chicago, getting that extra first round pick for next year, guess what? That acts as ammunition. If they guess what? Daniel Jones doesn't have a great season. Who knows what happens in the draft next year? They have that extra pick if they want to possibly trade up, get in a different position if Daniel Jones doesn't pan out. Now that's, we'll see if that happens. Obviously, like, it's hard to, I know a lot of people still think it's kind of hard to judge Jones for, what's happened. Obviously Saquon was out all last year, but this is it. I mean, it is make or break time. They took this guy at 6. He needs to either like play his ass off, honestly, this year. And I think they could contend for the division. Obviously Washington is the front runner and I think they're a great team, but if they don't find a way to at least, in my opinion, make the playoffs, it's like, this guy's out of town at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and that's the one positive about getting those weapons like Tony and Galladay, etc. Like, this is it for Jones. Like, this is what his 3rd year, and I know quarterbacks, they have a short leash in this league. That's just the fact. You have to perform, and then franchises can't just waste years upon years on a prospect. Like, if he's not performing this year, and that's the great thing about getting all these pieces, there is no more excuses. There is no more excuses. If he does not perform, he's gone. The Giants are looking for someone else, maybe in the draft again. I did love that trade down, getting that extra pick. So it's like, there's no more excuses for Daniel Jones. I know the O-line isn't perfect, but he's just got to perform.
In total agreement. I mean, look around the offense, look around the NFL. I mean, how many guys have a perfect offensive line? Few and far between. There's a reason that the guys who are franchise left tackles and right tackles don't hit the open market very often. It's a premium position. It's hard to come by. And a lot of guys are running for their lives out there. You got to process quick, get the ball out of your hands quick. Like, it is what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, they've had one of the worst offensive lines over the last few years. And it's not for lack of trying. I mean, they've drafted guys high plenty of times. They just haven't panned out. They haven't coached them up well enough, or just totally misevaluated them. But you get to a point where, Danny's no slouch with his legs. He can move. You just got to figure it out at some point. And with the weapons they have, there's no excuses. This is the make or break year.
Definitely. No, and that's another great point. Because I mean, this guy, like, as we saw last year, he had like the second fastest speed the quarterback had, behind like Lamar, obviously on that Eagles run. Of course, it's the run that he trips over his own feet and falls. But I mean, with that being said, he still has that athleticism. And so, things are finally starting to, like, it feels like they're starting to turn. I think the biggest thing for me is, like, they finally got a good head coach. Like, firing Coughlin, all the years in between that with McAdoo and Shermer, I mean, they were, when you look back, and what you saw what Judge did with the team last year, it's just a totally different perspective of things. How this guy, he came in, he wasn't just an offensive mind or defensive mind. He came in with a team mindset. And, that's something I thought the Jets even did with their hire with Robert Saleh. I think there's a guy that's going to be team first. And it was just completely different than what we saw with Shermer and McAdoo and these innovative offensive guys that were going to, try to come in and, fix this team and help them get wins again. Judge was a complete opposite. And I think it's going to work out pretty well in their favor moving forward.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, all those pieces, all the things you mentioned, the coaching, now like the defense is better, like everything, there's a lot of optimism to have as a Giants fan right now. Like there's a lot of optimism, good offseason moves by Dave Gettleman, all these things. But if the quarterback doesn't perform, then it's not going to be a good year. So it's like there's a lot of optimism. And if you believe in Daniel Jones, then like I could see the Giants making the playoffs if Daniel Jones performs to even a little over expectations. Like just because of the good defense, just because of the good coaching, all the good off-season moves. Like there's so many factors in play for Giants fans to be optimistic about next year. And that's why, like, you know, looking into next year, I'm excited, but I'm still skeptical about Danny. That's my only issue. I'm excited about the year. I'm cautiously optimistic, and I think it all falls on Danny for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, Danny's obviously the main thing to look for, but to me, like I said in the opener, this is more than just, you know, fixing everything this offseason. They finally have the right philosophy and mindset to build a successful roster. So like, yeah, Danny is the most important position on the team. He's going to make or break this season. But at the same time, like just the variance with defenses that don't rely on sacks. Like you saw what happened that one game Bradbury went down this past season, right? Like,
yeah,
not only like that period, but they just lack depth at so many positions that one or two injuries could also just completely derail the season. So again, my expectations are low, especially because we just have no clue what Washington. We sort of know what Washington's going to be. I think they have a very high floor relative to the rest of the NFC East. You know, Fitzpatrick is what can really take them to that high ceiling or keep them at that, you know, 6 or 7 win floor. But with the Cowboys, Dak returning from a really bad ankle injury, and that defense was god awful last year, right? Like we just don't know if any of the offseason moves they made are going to come remotely close to fixing that. So the division is just such a wild card. You know, I sort of lean towards what Jimmy said earlier. Like, I think Washington's very underrated. They're returning basically that entire defense. So you never know. I think like Fitzpatrick over Smith, Haskins, and who was it? Heineke. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah,
he almost won them a playoff game.
The bar is the floor over there at the quarterback position.
Now, I know we talked a lot about this offseason, but I do want to rewind the clock a little for you Giants fans, and obviously relive a little misery for you guys. So I'm just going to ask a few questions. First one, right off the bat, which was the worst top 10 draft pick, Eric Flowers or Eli Apple? And anybody could start first.
Oh, God. Oof. All right, I'll start. I'm going to say Eric Flowers because no, I'm going to change that. Scratch that. I'm going to go with Eli Apple because listen, Eli Apple was not projected to go in the top 10. He was projected maybe, I believe, like mid to late first round, right? And the thing about Eli Apple was it was a stretch in the first place. When he gets to the Giants,
I was confused.
It was no one expected that pick. That pick just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So then when he gets to the Giants, he performs meh, but you could say, oh, he's young. He was like 20 when he got drafted or something like that. He's young, so he has all this potential. And now 5 years later, he's 25 years old. He can barely make a team. He's getting cut all over the place. He should be in his prime. He's a defensive back at 25 years old. That should be the prime of his career. And yet he's failing to make a roster. Like, he should at least be a starter, considering he was a top 10 pick. He should at least be a starter in this league, and he struggles to even make that. So I'd say Eli Apple is worse.
It's tough. I mean, at first, I distinctly remember breaking my TV controller when they picked Eric Flowers. Like, I had people over. They were scared.
It was like a big draft party, and like as soon as it said the name, you just like
not even. I think like my roommate was like cooking for a few people, and I just went right against the wall. But I gotta agree with Bill. Like, I think the thing that puts Eli Apple over the top is not just his on the field, just total. I don't even say lack of performance, because I think that sort of implies there was any performance whatsoever.
Yeah.
His mother was insufferable. Like Eric
on Twitter. Oh yeah.
Not even just on Twitter. Like she was causing issues all over the place. And like I think Eric Flowers' relationship with his dad was a bit of a pain point. I can't speak for the organization, but for me, it was infuriating. Like, this dude's a first round draft pick offensive tackle, and he's going to train with like his failed professional linebacker father in the offseason. Like, bro, what are you fucking doing? Like, I get it. Like, him and his dad are close because his mom passed away when he was young, but like, you're getting paid millions of dollars. Like, go train with the rest of the offensive linemen. But like, Eli Apple's mom was just insufferable, and she was just around the team all the time. So I'll go with Eli Apple.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a solid option. And like Bill said, like 2016, he was like, okay. And then like from there, it was just disaster city. He was like tweeting on the sidelines against Dallas. I'll never forget that one. That was absolutely stunning. So for my next one here, and I'll give you guys a little bit to think about as I'm talking, favorite recent New York Giant that is not even in the league anymore. Obviously, there's a lot to choose from. If you just take a look at the 2015 roster. I mean, you could pretty much pick any defensive player from that team in 2015. There's a few to choose from. I'm gonna go with a small one. I like Paul Perkins. I'm a Paul Perkins guy. You know,
that was gonna be my answer.
Like, what's he up to? You know,
yeah.
And he was pretty exciting at some points. Like, I remember, like, Giants fans, they're getting hyped for him and stuff. He was gonna take over for Rashad Jennings, and then nothing really happened with it.
I'm gonna go with David Wilson. You remember David Wilson?
Oh yeah. Well,
he was the running back.
He got hurt.
Yeah, he was hyped up. Like, he was actually supposed to be good for us, but unfortunately, like, he did get hurt. He had like I think it was like a neck injury or something.
Yeah.
He had a neck injury, so he literally couldn't play again. And like, if he stayed healthy, he would have been a good player for us. But sadly, like, he was only in the league 2 years. He literally got hurt in 2013, his second year. The neck injury ruined his career. Like, he was a first round pick.
So I will. I'll give you a Henry Hynoski. How about that?
He's a class. The Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros throwback.
That's definitely a good one. And then also, actually, speaking about another guy that's not on the team anymore, obviously we got to bring up Odell Beckham Jr. Guys, what is your favorite Odell Beckham Jr. memory? And I have a few to choose from. He's one of my favorite players in the league still. And I really want to see him come back on the Browns. But if I had to pick, obviously the one against Baltimore, I was actually at that game. That was insane. The game-winning touchdown against Baltimore. But I was a big fan of the touchdown in Philly where he did the dog peeing thing. I thought it was hilarious. Everybody freaked out. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. So I think that's definitely up there for me too.
Yeah, I was thinking about that Baltimore slant. That was the slant to the house.
Even the first one against Baltimore, wasn't that when he gave Eric Weddle like the finger, like, don't even try?
Oh yeah. He burned it. That was a career day for him.
Yeah.
That one was a really exciting game because, like, I did not think we were gonna win that game, and then all of a sudden, Odell just goes up the field. I'm trying to think. I don't want to say like too mainstream an answer, like the famous catch,
Yeah.
Like, everyone knows that one. But yeah, there's so many good ones. It's weird. It's weird to think about Odell now because, like, I loved him for a time, but after he left, like, you just kind of
move on.
You move on, yeah. I root for him now. Like, unfortunately, injuries derailed his career. He could have been a future Hall of Famer in my mind, but I think that's past him now, sadly.
Yeah, I agree. Just too many injuries, too many lost seasons.
Like, he had the talent. Like, his first 3 or 4 years were insane.
I mean, he was outstanding.
Like, he was like a top 3 wide receiver in the league, basically.
He was doing it on an offense that was like horribly. They had a terrible, like.
He was the offense.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, there's no other weapons. It wasn't creative at all, and it was just him by himself. And I mean, I could go on and on about like the amazing things he did, within that. It's just like the Saints game where he's just like when it was just no defense on the field. It was just so fun watching him play. But Ethan, I didn't want to cut you off. I didn't know if you had a favorite Odell moment too.
No, I really don't. I mean, Baltimore game, it's up there. The diving catch in the end zone against the Redskins.
I was gonna say
Sorry,
that
I
was
can't say that anymore. The Washington
one.
football team. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, the guy single-handedly won them like 4 games that season, so it's so fucking hard to pick.
And that, you know what makes it tough to think about Odell? Like, I don't know, with Eli and like the playoff game, it just makes me sad, you know? Like when he dropped the ball in the end zone and then Sterling Shepard dropped the ball in the end zone in 2016. I think about that too. It just pains me to think about. Bad recent memories. Those are the bad recent memories I have as a Giants fan.
Definitely bad. As we're on the topic of Odell, just to wrap him up, Ethan, I do have to ask you, what is going on with the Odell Defense Brigade? Because
it's disbanded.
It's officially disbanded.
It's disbanded. No, unless he comes back to the Giants, it's disbanded for the time being.
Because and Bill, just to inform you, Ethan basically was at the center of a rally cry for any time Odell got into any sort of trouble. There was any type of maybe he's a distraction news. Let me tell you, it was like watching like 300. It was like this force of warriors that just united together on Twitter, and they called themselves the Odell Defense Brigade. And no matter any Odell slander, they were
friends and stuff. We're doing that.
It was all my followers. It was nuts. Like, bro, I had I like jokingly gave out my email for people to send in their applications, and I got over 100. I got over 100 emails in like the first 2 hours.
I love that.
I still like. I look at my likes and my favorites like sometimes, and there's still people that have like Odell Defense Brigade in their bio. It's so funny.
I love that. It's gone though. Oh man, it's gone.
Well, it's just until I blow the conch shell again. Until he's back in blue.
Yeah. See, that's the thing I like about it. It's like at a moment's notice, they could just they know.
I break the emergency glass and they'll be there.
Definitely. That's awesome stuff. And yeah, Ethan, tell us everything. What's going on with Gotham Sports? I know you guys have some awesome podcasts that are out right now too. Is there anything else going on with you guys?
No, not at the moment. I mean, go check us out on Twitter at Gotham SN. We'll post all the latest blogs, podcasts, baseballs in full swing, so you can follow our Mets and Yankees guys. Follow me for some Giants offseason stuff and some Islanders stuff. We got some guys doing a lot of great Rangers stuff. I know it's getting crazy in Rangers land right now with James Dolan and all the firings. So we got some guys covering that. But yeah, all around good content. Go follow us and check us out. Awesome. Yeah. And guys, everybody watching this on HSP Network, don't forget, check out Ethan at Ethan SN. Am I GSN. Correct? GSN at Ethan GSN on Twitter. Guys, he has awesome content all the time, whether it be all NFL actually. Crazy food takes, as I said before. But yeah, just thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate having you, man. And so what was that? 7.5 over under? You're going under on the Giants wins, right, Ethan? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as outrageous as it was in years past. Like, I mean, there were past seasons where I think Vegas had it like 8 because they knew the Giants fans would just hit that over in droves. Yeah. And I was like, it's not going to come close. I think they have a shot this year, but I would still lean under. Like, you just can't tell me that drafting Kadarius Toney and Azeez Ojulari is adding like wins to your win total in this league. It's just it's a little crazy for me. Yeah, no, I agree. It's like, look, how many years they've been losing so far. Like, this is the first time I felt optimistic about them at all, like in recent memory. And the biggest reason for me is Judge. But yeah, it's like still outside of that. Like, what have you done for me lately? You know, like I can't deal with the Giants fans where it's just like, the only debate they have back to me is like the Super Bowls that happened like 10 years ago. It's just crazy to think like that Super Bowl win was the last playoff win they really had. Like, it's crazy. Like if you're going to tell me that you're betting the over 7.5 wins on a team led by a quarterback with 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions last year, you come to me and I'll take your bet. No juice, straight up, whatever limit you want. You come to odds me. Boost. No odds boost needed. No, I'll give them the odds boost. I'll give them. Oh, there it is. I'll give them the odds. I'll give them plus money on it. Yeah. Nah. Yeah. I mean, Bill, you have any closing arguments? Yeah, on the Giants as well. I every single year I go into the season optimistic, and I'm like, week 1, week 2, I'm like, we just got to get a few wins under our belt.
Like every year, it seems we always lose the first.
You're a little too over optimistic. I do gotta say.
I'm often optimistic, and then my optimism is gone by like week 4. So I think that might be the case again, but I'm gonna stay optimistic until week 4. So hopefully we're 2-2, 3-1, maybe.
Yeah,
we'll hold your word to it for sure. All right, no, but again, Ethan, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. And thank you everybody for watching. Like I said, guys, check out Ethan on Twitter. Check out Gotham Sports. Awesome stuff there. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to HSP Network. Got some new stuff coming out, like I said, every day. And definitely be on the lookout for more. NBA playoffs are on the horizon. Cannot wait to dive into that more. But for now, we're going to head out. So take care, everybody. Ethan, thanks for coming on again.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
Take care.